Do you ever suddenly become aware of the fact you have no idea how you got to where you are? Not necessarily some deep spiritual meaning, although I will go there. I mean, just throughout a random day, you realize you've been on autopilot for X amount of time. But now you're super aware, awake, and fully aware of the present moment, this moment in time. That's a good thing. In that moment, you have an opportunity to start living with purpose. On purpose. Hi, my name's Matt Stevens, and this is my sober addiction. Stop letting life live you. Instead, you live life and the people around you, necessarily. I mean, if you're at work, obviously you're at work and there's nothing you can do. You have coworkers and they're there and all that. But you can control how you react. You can control how it affects you. And that's one of the great things about becoming aware. You know, most people don't. I think that most people are never aware. You know, to become aware of awareness. When you just become super aware, like I've done it at work. I've done it everywhere. I mean, you know, when you just really become hyper aware and you realize, wow, I am a conscious and sentient being in my own right. And I occupy space. But then again, that space is just an energy field, and you are a distortion in that energy field. But you know, that's like I said, I can go there, you know, with the deep spiritual meanings and all that. But and we will. And this is not an exact. But getting back to the autopilot thing, this is not an exact statistic, of course. But I'd bet a paycheck it's pretty accurate. It's pretty dead on. But 90% of our day is spent on autopilot. You know, and that's probably even true for people who are trying to become conscious and aware. And, you know, I guess the goal of that is to try to become more deliberate. And that's something that we as addicts relate to, because the addiction kind of takes over and you do absolutely run on autopilot. We know exactly what it means to run on autopilot, because there can be days when I was in active addiction, there were days when I would say, okay, today's the day. I'm not going to use anymore. I'm going to, get sober. Meanwhile, I am texting my dope dealer, trying to set something up. Okay. And I'm still telling myself, or telling whoever I'm around, I'm not using it today. I'm not using it today. Meanwhile, I'm still texting my dope dealer. Meanwhile, I'm driving to the ATM. Meanwhile, I'm going and sitting in a parking lot somewhere for God knows how long, waiting for my drug dealer to show up. Does it sound like I'm not going to use, even though I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to use today. I'm not going to use today. Yeah, you probably are. But my conscious mind was saying, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But my autopilots, yes, you are. But that's the addiction. And that's the hardest part to beat of it. That's why once we do beat it, we understand. And I say I love addicts, because I do love addicts. And, for a whole shit ton of reasons. But one of them is the things that we've been through. And I'm not saying other people don't go through things. And I understand some people are like, well, yeah, all that was you did that to yourself. What about people who have cancer? Okay, fine. You're right. We did it to ourselves. However, a lot of us are pre-wired to be addicts, because we've all known people who we got high with or whatever, and they, for whatever reason, they could do it for 2 or 3 days and then just put it down. Nope, sorry, got to go to work tomorrow. Sunday afternoon. Nope, sorry, I got to put it down. I got to go to work in the morning, so I can't do it. And meanwhile, I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you got to put it down? There's no such thing as putting it down. That's the addict versus the non-addict. So what I was getting at is, we know the difference between being deliberate and super aware and being on autopilot, because we were on autopilot for so long. It's almost like we're sitting outside of yourself and watching yourself from third person. You're like, why are you doing that? Why are you going to see your dope dealer? You're not supposed to be doing that. You're saying with your mouth, you're not going to do that, but you're doing the actions. And well, there you go. You just did it. And then finally, when you push off on that shot, you go, oh my God, I just did it. Well, I guess I'll do it tomorrow. I don't want to be ruffling any feathers, but that's why I don't really like slogans. I shouldn't say that. I love slogans. That's why I don't like the slogan of living life on life's terms. Because if we live life on life's terms, that means that we are basically being subservient to it. And I realize there's probably some people out there right now that are rolling their eyes and thinking, God, man, you just don't freaking get it, do you? You know, I realize life happens. I do. Okay. But I also realize that how we react is up to us. You know, the things that happen around us sometimes are outside of our control. But what is in our control is how we react to it, if we allow it to affect us. And whether or not we allow it to affect us is really kind of the key. Because if we don't allow it to affect us, then it just floats on by. Kind of like, you know, a lot of meditation teachers teach you, you know, a lot of people, when they're new to meditation, they think, I got to clear my thought. I got to clear my mind. I got to clear my mind. No thoughts, no thoughts, no thoughts. And then what do they have? They have thoughts. And then they think they're messing up. No, you're not messing up at all. Thoughts are going to happen. It's called brain. It thinks, you know. But you kind of observe it. Just observe the thought. Kind of like every car that drives down the street, you observe them, drive by. It doesn't mean you go freaking jump in every single car that drives by, or whatever, or even react to each car that drives by. You observe it. You watch it go by, and there it goes. And that's fine. Some of them go by slow, some of them go by fast. Some of them may stop in front of your house. Point is, observe. Don't become a participant in things that you don't want, that aren't going to serve you. So your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're actually participating in and what you're not participating in. So if your surroundings are this, if your physical reality is this, that's fine. Whatever you observe is, whatever you allow to take in is this. So some things you just need to let it go on by. Don't participate in it. Don't react to it. One of the things that I love about addicts is how raw and how real we are. I mean, however, it is often to a fault. We don't do fake. Once we've decided to be sober, you know, now once we've decided we would like to be sober, would like to be sober means you're not sober. And law of attraction teaches us where attention goes, energy flows. So if you focus your energy on what you don't have, then you're going to get more of what you don't have. So if you focus on, I'd like to be an addict. Well, we've already figured that part out, haven't we? I would like to be sober. I want to be sober. I want to be sober. The big buzzword these days is manifestation, you know, and all that. And I'm a firm believer in manifesting. It depends on where you are in your life. I mean, you know, I got a feeling you're gonna be there. Just like being sober, you know, we can decide, I want to be sober, I want to be sober. Well, you're not going to be sober until you decide you're sober. You know, all you're doing is establishing the fact that you're not sober when you say, I want to be sober. One of the things I love about addicts is how raw and real we are, you know, and often it's to a fault, and you know I'm right, because there's times, you know, because we just don't do fake, you know, we don't do fake. So, you know, the whole fake it till you make it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really feeling the whole fake it part. You know, of course I want to make it, you know, but but at the same time, you got to realize you're not going to make it until you, in your mind, assume it. You've got to become it. So if you're having a hard time with the whole fake it till you make it, then just be as if, or act as if. Act as if you've made it. Okay, you want to be sober? Act as if you're sober. You want to be sober? Be as if you're sober. Whichever one you want to use. If you're not a fan of fake it till you make it, I get it. Okay, fine. I don't really care what people do as long as they do what they're supposed to do, and that's all. So there's that. Moving on, I would like to. There's another little thing that kind of interests me with regards to active addiction. It's about emotional maturity and also spiritual maturity, before, during, and after active addiction. Okay, so let's say someone starts using at the age of 15. All right, at that point, they begin using drugs. Every time something goes on in their life that they can't deal with, they go and get high. That's pretty much how we deal with things. I can't deal with this. I'm just going to go get high. And that's how it goes, right? So at the age of 15, let's take this case point here. At the age of 15, this person starts using. Then every time something bad happens in their life, a breakup, they get in trouble, whatever. Anything happens, they go and use. Okay. Then let's fast forward 10 years. They're 25, and then they decide to get sober. They no longer have that to fall back on. They can no longer go get high, and they now have to cope with problems as they come up. But the problem is they haven't matured for the past 10 years. From 15 to 25, they only cope with issues with using dope. So they've pretty much still got the maturity level of a 15-year-old, even though they're 25 years old. So if somebody ever wonders why does this guy always act so immature about, when it comes to emotional issues or whatever? Well, because we never had to deal with emotional issues. Not like a real person would, just process, like a death in the family or anything. We've never really processed things the way normal people do. We just go and cover it up with drugs. So whenever we do get sober, and say we were using for 10 years, whenever we do get sober, well, we've lost 10 years of maturing. And so therefore we kind of start from there. So you're 25, but you got the emotional maturity level of a 15-year-old. And then let's say at 35, now you're up to 25. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a curve. I mean, at some point you would eventually catch up. I don't know. I just know that's a very interesting thing, because it is true. Most addicts are very emotional. Well, when they're in active addiction, they're emotionally absent. They don't process things. Death in the family, for example, they just check out. You know that. I know that. We've all done that. And then whenever we do get sober, what do we do then? We don't know how to deal. And actually it's a very dangerous time, because some people are like, oh shit, I don't know how to deal with this. The only way I know how to deal with this is get high. Well, you can't do that. You're sober now. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. And then they go and sometimes relapse, unfortunately. But if they don't relapse, that's why it's very important to help people. Because if they have the emotional maturity of a 15-year-old, well, they may need some help with coping, because they don't know how, because they've always used drugs to cope. So instead of kind of like, God, he's so immature, maybe stop and be like, hey, I'm going to help this guy out, because I don't want him to go out and use. So it's just something we need to be aware of. We're helping each other along. One of the things I like for us to remind each other, especially in times like that, when we're really struggling, is remind each other, you gotta, that's why it's important to have a buddy or a sponsor or whatever. Someone that can remind you as to why you got sober. Like me, why I got sober, I mean, I kind of had to, but why I stayed sober, I didn't want to miss my daughter's graduating high school. I'd already missed enough to where that I wasn't going to deal with that. That would have been very bad. I had already tried to get sober for my family and realized that doesn't work. Yes, sobriety is a very selfish thing. You have to do it for your own reasons, not for someone else's. You can't do it for someone, because the second they let you down, you've got an excuse to go and use. Can't do that. But now my reason wasn't necessarily for someone, meaning my kids, but it was because of them. And it was kind of and it could have been a little bit of a prideful reason. I wasn't going to miss my kids' graduation. I wasn't going to be in jail or in a court-ordered state ran rehab, if that's what you want to call it, during my kids' graduation. And that could have very easily happened had I not gotten sober. So I did, and then there's been times where I almost relapsed, of course. And I will say that there have been times that the only thing that kept me from relapsing was my fear of getting dope sick in jail. Because, wow, that's the worst thing in the world. There is really not much worse than being dope sick in jail. Except for the fact, I mean, it's the worst and it's not quite so bad both at the same time, as messed up as that may sound. It's not so bad because you realize, well, shit, I'm here and there's absolutely no way I can get drugs. So it's kind of out of your mind. It's out of your hands. It's out of your mind. You know, it's like, well, it's not out of your mind, but it's completely out of your hands and you know it. Plus, in Cincinnati, Ohio, God bless them, they at least give you some comfort meds. But I think they more do that for their own reasons because there's some pretty hard-ass freaking guys in that jail. Okay? And, yeah, there's some pretty hard asses in there. And I got a feeling, you know, if they got, you know, you dope fiend bunked up with some hard-ass thug, and here you are, you know, diarrhea and throwing up and all that shit all throughout the night where you're locked in a cell with him, he's probably going to beat you to death. And I'm not even being funny. I mean, seriously, that's probably what would happen. So they probably, for their own reasons, is why they would give people comfort meds like Phenergan to help you keep from Phenergan and Imodium. But those two things are a freaking godsend whenever you are, you know, when you're really going through it. You know, and I think they give you something for restless leg and whatever. And then that does make kind of the hallucinations and the psychosis and all that kind of stuff worse. So then you do hallucinate. You do imagine a lot of crazy crap. I mean, I've seen, well, I thought I had a cell phone hidden in my mat, you know, my bed mat. I thought I had a friend who was actually sneaking in the jail to hang out with me at night. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I'm going to sit here and just bare my soul right here. I honest to God thought that I had, and I don't know, looking back, I'm like, okay, so what was I thinking? Was I hanging out? Was I dreaming? Was I just in this crazy hallucinatory delusion where I thought that this friend was coming in the jail from the outside and hanging out? You know? And then one night they snuck me out and we were driving around downtown Cincinnati in a convertible. Seriously, I must have been dreaming. Okay. Honestly. I mean, that had to have been the case, but that's some crazy, pretty vivid dreams. Okay. Anyway, so when you're going through all that anyway, you know, it gets pretty crazy anyway. So, and I'm assuming that the meds that they give you, the comfort meds, play a part in it. They've got to play a role in causing that crazy stuff to happen. Anyway, getting back to the whole point. So going to jail has motivated me to not relapse. I mean, there have been a time or two, you know, in the years that I've been sober. By the way, I've been sober. Well, I slipped about 5.5 years ago. August of 2017 was the last time. So before that, it was in 2015, but hey, you know, I slipped in 2017 and that's okay. You know, hey, relapse is part of getting clean, really. Yeah. Sometimes you need that kick in the ass to remind you don't want to go here, man. I'm not saying please don't take that as justification to relapse, please, because anybody's listening to this should be past that now. We should be to the point now where we don't ever want to relapse. Because listen, if you've never gone and gotten dope sick in jail, you don't want to do that. Oh my God, there's nothing worse because it's so freaking cold in there. First of all. Second of all, it's just the most uncomfortable. I mean, there's just nothing good about it. It's just completely sucks. But if you weren't there, you wouldn't have gotten sober. So I don't know. Going to jail is the best thing that happened to me. Going to jail's probably saved my life. But God, it sucks. How about this? We just don't realize. We just stay clean. We just keep lifting each other up. That's what I'm going to do. You know, I love my life now. It's great. My relationships are good. I just got my tax stuff that from where I was off in the wind for so many years and didn't take care of my, you know, responsibilities. You know, I didn't file my taxes either. And, you know, just got that taken care of. And yeah, it's great. It's always important to remember your why. why did you quit? And sometimes we need to remind each other of that, because I've got so much to live for now. I've got an amazing girlfriend. I don't deserve her, but hey, don't need to tell her that. But everything's just going great, and the thing is, we do recover, and life does get good again. Life gets amazing. I've mentioned this before. It's like you can be driving down the street and the police, whatever, wave at them, say hi to them, let them. It's like, hey, you want to run my license? Go for it. I don't care. In fact, I'd love for you to. So just so I can know that I'm good. Well, I already know I'm good, but just so I can get that sense of satisfaction of you hand me my license back, tell me to go have a good day. Hell yeah. Tell me how many times you would do that back when you were in active addiction. Cop wanted to see your license. Oh shit. Oh, there's the cops over there. Right. Duck. Get my, whatever. Don't go that way. Don't talk to them. And I'm not the biggest fan of the police. I've had some bad encounters with them. And it was stuff that they really did not need to do. It was completely unnecessary. And, but there's bad apples in every bunch, right? It doesn't matter. We've got more important things to worry about. We've got people dying on fentanyl in record freaking numbers now. That's another reason to stay sober, because relapsing now is really not an option. What we need to do is we need to start getting on top of helping other people. I don't know what we got to do, but as a community, we've really got to start, we've got to attack this fentanyl thing, because it's crazy. I know of people who have taken a fentanyl pill. Of course, it's some junky ass bootleg pill that was made, not made by a pharmaceutical company. Not those are those are at least regulated, but anyway, not that those won't kill you, but I mean, like one that would literally, it's like that pill would have killed 25 freaking people. Now, true, someone who's in active addiction, their tolerance is way higher, so they could probably tolerate something that might kill 10 to 15 people who have no tolerance. But still, 25, enough to kill 25 freaking, why do we even who is making these and why? Because they don't care. They do care. They care about the money. We know that. But they do not care about you. So screw them. I wouldn't give somebody the satisfaction. I've got a good story. I've known some people who recently got sober. We'll go into a clinic, get on maintenance medicines. I am not opposed to that at all. In fact, I think it's a great idea. I think getting on maintenance medicines is fantastic. And I realize that that's a big no-no when it comes to a lot of people in NA and stuff. And I don't care. I don't care. Because whatever is causing people to reclaim their lives, rebuild their relationships, pay their bills, get off the street, get cleaned up. I know people who recently have gotten sober using maintenance medicines. That's their business. And they look freaking fantastic. And they've got all their shit together. They've got a nice place to live, everything. They're working, they're taking care of business. So maintenance meds all the way, go for it. You're not going to hear me say anything negative about someone using that. I say do it, because like with me, I would get sober, go to jail, get sober. Probably that's by force, but as soon as I get out of jail, I try to stay sober, and I may for a little bit, but then I'd fall off the wagon again. And like I had a counselor, actually not a counselor, I had a therapist who was, she really pissed me off. She said, well, why don't you try things our way once? Why don't you try using maintenance meds? And I'm like, what do you mean, chick? I was already sober for a pretty good while at that point. I think I've already told the story. And she's like, yeah, but you always relapse, don't you? So why don't you try things our way once? So that way you can really get some good time under your belt. Okay. And then, and she was absolutely right. If I hadn't have done that, I don't know that I would have relapsed, but I probably would have. Based on my history, I probably would have, had I not went and got on maintenance meds at that time. And it saved a lot of people. It saved a lot of lives. It saved so many lives. I don't care if it's methadone. I don't care if it's Suboxone. I don't care what it is. If it's saving people's lives, it's saving people's lives. Because things right now are crucial. It's so bad. And we are in a very unique position. We've seen the other side of this equation. We know how bad things can be. And we also know how good things can be. We're an inspiration to a lot of people. There's a lot of people who've never been an addict, or never, once an addict, always an addict, but who've never abused drugs. Can get inspiration from people like you and me. Why? Because we have beaten back one of the worst scourges of our time. I mean, if you want to put it that way, scourges of our time. But let's be inspirations. Let's decide what we want to be exactly. What do you want to be? You want to be sober? Okay, fine. That part's easy. Let's do that. Well, that's actually the hardest thing, but the decision is easy. Then we've got to decide to be it. Then we got to get some clean time under our belt. I've decided I am a podcaster. It's what I love this. It's what I'm doing. It's what I am. You may decide you want to be whatever it is that you want to be. A great family person, a good employee. Maybe you want to be a drug counselor. Whatever it is you decide you want to be, once you've decided to be it, don't want it anymore. Just be it. It's amazing how once you assume this is what I am, what you can then be. And we can be shining examples, because not only can we show the world how good you can be, but it's like, damn, look how far down I came. Okay. I came from, I don't know, let's say it's 10 stories down, and now we're up here. Where most people came from, I don't know, 5 stories down. Point is, in most cases, we were a lot further down than most people, which gives us even more of an inspiration. That's why I love addicts. Addicts have overcome so much. I look at addicts and I'm in awe of them. The ones in active addiction, my heart breaks for them. I've seen them. You see them walking down the street, and they're suffering. It's like, God, I just wish I could just make them do it, but you can't. And my heart breaks for them, because I look at them and I think, man, just come on, dude, you can do this. It's not that bad. You can get over to the other side. And once you're over here on this side, you're going to freaking love it. You've seen them. You've seen those people out there, and your heart breaks for them, because you know what they're going through. And God, you don't wish that on anybody. Anybody. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So let's be shining examples. But first we got to work on ourselves, right? First we got to realize how powerful we really are, and how far along we've already came, and let that inspire us. And then we can go out and be inspirations to other people. Why not? What else you got to do? This is Matt Stevens. This is the My Sober Addiction podcast. Thank you. And I love you all.